Hello, my name is HQ of HQ Reacts. Welcome to my channel. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the stream, and click the notification button for new content.
Hello, everybody. This is a very, very interesting week. We have stuff going on at the DOJ, the State Department. You don't even know where to look first, right? It's incompetence all around the board. All of this started with the defection, the big chasm that opened up between Marjorie Taylor Greene and the president. It's like a cascading set of shit rolling downhill. And it starts with her, right? So now, on top of everything else, we hear that there's going to be an avalanche of resignations from Punchbowl News. Explosive resignations, right? What is going on? Explosive resignations could be coming for the House Republicans that could make them lose the majority before the midterm. Before the midterms, basically what's happening is they know that there is going to be a wash. They understand that it's going to be a bloodbath. And if people don't understand that it's going to be a bloodbath, they haven't been paying attention. Simply because this president has put us on a road to chaos, mayhem, illegalities from the beginning. He tried to rule. He tried to do his presidency through executive orders, through EOs. And you cannot be a competent leader and rule by EOs, which basically means you're circumventing Congress. You're circumventing the other branches of government that should have a say in what you do and what you put together. We have this president embroiled in a Supreme Court decision as to whether the tariffs are lawful or not. That should have told the president to slow your roll. Slow your roll. Sit back and reflect. You cannot continue to rule through executive order. You have to start pulling other people into your decisions. You cannot just rule with yourself. Now, this article came out today, okay? According to Punchbowl News, explosive resignations could be coming from the House Republicans that could make them lose the majority for the midterms. Well, let's just be clear. They're going to lose their majority come November 2026. The thing is, how badly are they going to lose their majority in 2026? Okay? Marjorie Taylor Greene sees the writing on the wall. A senior House Republican is sounding an alarm that Marjorie Taylor Greene's sudden decision to leave Congress is the first damn crack in the dam. She understands what's going on. She also understands when she's quitting. She's quitting 3 days after she gets her pension from Congress. So she's going to have a pension from Congress and she's quitting a couple days after that. Several GOP lawmakers told reporters they are also considering midterm exits next month. November 2026. It is going to be a change of hands in the House. That's definitely coming. This is one of the Punchbowl, one of the people at Punchbowl. So he says, Jake Sherman, he says a few other GOP members messaged us over the weekend saying that they too are considering retiring in the middle of the term. Here's one particularly excised senior House Republican. Quote, "This entire White House team has treated all members like garbage. All. And Mike Johnson, who is the Speaker of the House, has let it happen because he wanted it to happen. That is the sentiment of nearly all appropriators, authorizers, hawks, doves, rank and file, Republican and Democrat." Wow. "The arrogance of this White House team is off-putting to members who are run roughshod, and threatened. They don't even allow little wins like announcing small grants or even responding from agencies. Not even the high profile, the regular rank and file random members are more upset than ever. Members know they are going into the minority after the midterm." You hear that? Members know they are going into the midterm, going into the minority after midterm. Of course you are. You are, because this president and his whole agenda is unpopular. Hello. His whole agenda is unpopular. It's not just me saying that. Many people are saying that. Okay? That this whole agenda is unpopular. The lawmaker accused the administration of arrogance and of running members over while denying them even symbolic wins, such as small grant announcements of basic responsiveness from federal agencies. They're getting treated like shit, Republicans and Democrats. More explosive early resignations are coming behind Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower in this Congress. In the Congress. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, will be stripped of his gavel, and they will lose the majority before this term is out, before the second midterms are out. There are GOP and Democratic people, not the Democrats primarily, but mostly GOP, mostly Republicans, saying they're quitting because they don't agree with what's going on with Donald Trump. They don't agree. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the MAGA of the MAGA of the MAGAs. And if she quit saying she can't deal with it anymore, then I know the rest of them can't deal with it anymore. Okay? This is what's happening in the Congress right now. This president's agenda is unpopular. The Republicans, are going to lose the midterms. It's just a fact. They're going to lose the midterms. They're at least 10 points underwater. 10 points underwater. Doesn't matter how badly the Democrats are doing. Every time the party in power has such the numbers as they do, such as these numbers that they do, they lose the House. And they're on par. The Republicans are on par to lose the House spectacularly. Okay? Spectacularly. And this is not just me saying it, it's a lot of people saying it. So it is what it is. A lot of people are saying this. They're losing it. Right? So we move on from that particular piece of news, which is wild anyway. And then we move over to this news about the president trying to get Comey, Mark Kelly on calls for sedition. Now, we have to recap on that, right? Recap. The senators did a PSA to the regular military and said you need to follow lawful orders and you do not have to follow unlawful orders. First and foremost, the president felt some type of way. He felt some type of way, but then he always feels some type of way because he's a petty human being. And this president has the worst of all of our bad impulses. That's the worst of it. He has the worst instincts and pettiness of all of our pettiness. And he has all the money in the world. He's a white male, rich, has all the privilege in the world, and he has not one generous bone in his body for anybody else beyond himself. That's wild to me. So when the Mark Kelly and the rest of these military spies, DOJ personnel, petty officers, these people did a PSA to the regular military and said, you don't have to follow unlawful orders, but you do have to follow lawful orders and be proud of what it is and don't abandon the ship, right? Which is an old saying for a Navy saying, right? The president became irate because he felt as though they were telling them not to follow orders. So I get all of that. So now that they're upset, all week long, the president has been calling for sedition. Sedition is someone being put to death because of they didn't follow lawful orders through the military. Now this is ironic. He acts like he knows what sedition is, but apparently he don't know what insurrection is. But you know what sedition is. So anyway, he calls for actual sedition for Mark Kelly. Okay. Hold on. Wait a minute. Can you all hear this guy? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute. I gotta put him back on. Hold on. Oh, something wrong with it. Hold on. Let me get the right one. Uno momento. Okay. Where's he at? Okay. Here we go.
We have major breaking news right now. The Donald Trump-run Pentagon has announced an investigation into Senator Mark Kelly days after Donald Trump called for Mark Kelly's arrest, prosecution, and execution. This new investigation launched.
Ian Massey, we can be brainwashed all we want. Your president is trash. We can't change that fact. We can be as brainwashed as we want. He's still trash.
Today is a clear political retaliation against Democratic Senator Mark Kelly for calling on service members to simply follow their oaths. And I need your help to get this everywhere. So like, comment, share, and subscribe so that people see this right now, because this is stunning news. Minutes ago, the Department of Defense announced that it would be investigating Senator Mark Kelly. It did not provide exactly what for, but it comes after Donald Trump announced that he wanted Senator Kelly and other senators, including Senator Slotkin, to face sedition charges. Now, here's the thing. The Trump Justice Department didn't open this investigation, but the military did. And the military could seek military-related criminal charges against Democratic Senator Kelly, including, but not limited to, a court-martial. A court-martial.
Well, the thing is, why would they feel the need to put him under this microscope unless, what was it? Hegseth called and said to put him under this microscope? Because what Mark Kelly and the other senators and spies and whoever did the video, what they said was not out of the realm of what was supposed to be said. That president should have took it as a compliment and said, yes, follow all the orders, do everything right. You're doing what they said was correct. They didn't say anything wrong. And president is taking a lot of L's lately. So why would you open up an investigation? Why would you open up an investigation for sedition when it's not sedition? But because people, see, I'm going to say it again. A lot of these people who follow this president are going to go to prison after this term is over because they followed unlawful orders, because they did that.
He is now threatening to essentially court-martial Senator Mark Kelly. I want you to read this alongside me. The Department of War has received serious allegations of misconduct.
And it can't be the Department of War because Congress has to change that. And I don't even know why they put out a memo saying the Department of War. There's no such thing.
Conduct against Captain Mark Kelly in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice, 10 U.S. Code Section 688, and other applicable regulations. A thorough review of these allegations has been initiated to determine further actions, which may include recall to active duty for court-martial proceedings or administrative measures. This matter will be handled in compliance with military law, ensuring due process and impartiality. Further official comments will be limited to preserve the integrity of the proceedings. The Department of War reminds all individuals that military retirees remain subject to the UCMJ for applicable offenses, and federal laws such as 18 U.S. Code 2387 prohibit actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale.
So, seeing as how this president keeps taking L's this week, I don't know why he wanted to pull this out of his ass when they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't go above and beyond their oath. They just stated what needed to be stated. And the president knows he's doing unlawful things. See, you wouldn't feel some type of way if you weren't doing unlawful things. The president is doing unlawful things. No matter how you want to stretch it, how you want to look at it, he's doing unlawful things. Okay? And you sending ICE into neighborhoods is an unlawful act. That's what basically primarily what they were telling the military to act, to do lawful or unlawful. There has been an uprise, an uptick in military calling authorities and asking, is this an unlawful order or a lawful order? They are not supposed to obey unlawful orders. Now, this is why there is an uptick with military personnel calling to find out if X, Y, and Z is unlawful. And so they got enough phone calls. Mark Kelly and other Congress people got enough calls, enough notice where military were calling for help. And so they decided to put out that PSA, okay, and say, follow lawful orders, and you're not supposed to follow unlawful orders. This is why, okay? That's why. You don't know whether they're unlawful or not, BBL Klima, dummy. You ain't no military person, are you?
Morale.
No military boss, are you?
Or good order and discipline of the armed forces. Any violations will be addressed through appropriate legal challenges. All service members are reminded that they have a legal obligation under the UCMJ to obey lawful orders, and that the orders are presumed to be lawful. A service member's personal philosophy does not justify or excuse the disobedience of an unlawful order. They are essentially threatening to court-martial a Democratic senator over the fact that he told service members simply to follow their oaths, not to violate their oath that they swore to our nation. I want to show you, this was Senator Kelly's statement.
And that's the thing. They swore an oath to the Constitution. They don't swear an oath to this president. That's what this president doesn't get. They can be loyal to the Constitution and our country and still not do what President Trump says. Okay? This is where goofies get this mixed up. It doesn't matter. The loyalty to the president doesn't matter. That's why you're never supposed to do anything political when it comes to the military. You're supposed to be neutral when it comes to the military. So, and they were neutral when they gave that PSA. So this is another L that the president is going to take.
From earlier this week, we are veterans and national security professionals who love this country and swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. That oath lasts a lifetime, and we intend to keep it. No threat, intimidation, or call for violence will deter us from that sacred obligation. What's most telling is that the president considers it punishable by death for us to restate the law. Our service members should know that we have their backs as they fulfill their oath to the Constitution and obligation to follow only lawful orders. It is not only the right thing to do, but also our duty. But this isn't about any one of us. This isn't about politics. This is about who we are as Americans. Every American must unite and condemn the president's call for our murder and political violence. This is a time for moral clarity.
It is time for you all to put impeachment on the table. It's time for impeachment to be on the table. It just is what it is. This is too many bullshit L's this week. Your president went beyond his capacity. He's went beyond his authority.
In these moments, fear is contagious, but so is courage. We will continue to lead and we will not be intimidated. I also want you to watch what Senator Kelly said recently about Donald Trump's calls to prosecute him and execute him, especially in light of the fact that they are now looking to possibly prosecute him.
I think you might be onto something here, Walt. He is trying to purge the military of anybody he thinks may not agree with him. I think there's some evidence of that, or he's fired people because of seemingly because they're women or the color of their skin. But here's the thing: he can't fire us. You know, we cannot be fired, not by the president, just by our constituents in an election. So instead, he's going to try to intimidate us because he disagrees or he didn't like what we said. What I think the president should have done is he should have watched the video. He should have listened to the video and listened to the message. And what I think any other president would have done is they would have retweeted that video and said 2 words, of course, and maybe follow it up with, of course, members of the military should not follow illegal or unlawful orders. That's what we should expect.
And for you goofies in the chat, the military does not swear orders. They do not swear an oath to the president. They swear an oath to the Constitution. Regardless who is the president, it is an oath to the Constitution. Yeah. Goofies only say, president, no. It's an oath to the Constitution, not the president.
From a commander-in-chief, but not this guy.
But not this guy. I think it is stunning that this came just recently, right before Donald Trump is essentially now opening up an investigation, a criminal investigation into Mark Kelly. Remember, a court-martial in the United States military is separate from the Department of Justice. And well, he could theoretically be tried and punishable by up to death in the United States military. Let's hear more from Senator Kelly.
President said is very serious. I didn't think he would step over that line, calling for the execution of members of Congress. And his words carry tremendous weight, more so than anybody else in the country.
It's about time y'all look into impeaching this president. I'm telling y'all, these Republicans are getting tired. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was the most MAGA. And now they get a word that there's going to be some other senators and Republicans, congressmen that are thinking about leaving right behind her before the midterms. They're getting hella tired of this president.
Country, and he should be aware of that. And because of what he says, there is now an increased threats against us. I'm not going to get into, details on my personal security, but as the husband of Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, I understand what political violence is. The president should as well. Just like Gabby, somebody tried to assassinate him, and he should understand that his words could have serious consequences.
And I remember just weeks ago hearing from the president and other Republicans about the need to dial back the rhetoric after.
But this president doesn't want to dial back the rhetoric. This president wants to continue this spoiled, weird rhetoric that he keeps doing. And people keep co-signing it. It's about time you all look into impeachment. Now, for the enlisted personnel, the oath says, I, me, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States. Not I will support and defend. I solemnly swear against the Constitution, not the president. It has nothing to do with the president. Shut your dumb ass up, Deb. Shut your dumb ass up.
After the tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk. When it comes to
what happened to that? That was 2 months ago. Yeah. Where are they now? We've heard very little, basically crickets from Republicans in the United States Congress
because they're weak.
what the president has said about hanging members of Congress?
Weak.
I mean, it's right there. And I think in this time, in this moment, it's important to remember exactly what Senator Mark Kelly said, the
Right.
video that made Trump open this investigation today.
So
I'm Senator
this is the video.
Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark.
Yes, we obey the orders. We do not pledge allegiance to the president. We pledge allegiance to the flag. We pledge allegiance to the Constitution. We do not pledge allegiance to the president. Two different things, Black America.
Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military.
No, your president is just trash, Deb. Why people gotta keep telling y'all your president is trash? All the shit that keeps... I'll be glad when I wake up and I don't have to hear nothing from your president. We will be glad when we have to wake up and we don't hear jack shit about your president. But that's all we do is hear shit about your president. That's all we have to hear. It's shit about your president every day, all day, every day, once a week. Nothing. There's no normal time for this president because he makes so many mistakes every time he opens his mouth. Every time he does something. You see the goofy smile on his face when Mondami walked into the White House? I thought your president had all this smoke for Mondani. I thought he had all this smoke for Mondani. Ain't got no smoke for him. He over there, he in love. Patting him on the hand. Oh, go ahead, call me a sucker. Go ahead, Your president wasn't standing on business when Mondami was right in his face. Now was he? Mondami looked like he had him in a fucking chokehold. Shut your ass up about your president. This president is trash and y'all know it.
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day.
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
Against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad.
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
Nobody said anything about an illegal order. What? Y'all goofy. You goofy. Nobody said anything about an illegal order. They said if you run across an illegal order, you don't have to go and you don't have to listen to an illegal order. If you run across an illegal order, nobody said anything about an illegal order. Goofy. Y'all be doing acrobats trying to prop up this goofy president. Just goofy president. Just be trying to prop stuff up. Nobody said anything about him implying. That's your implication, not everybody else's implication.
The Army.
Our Navy.
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
Yeah, the military, they're seeking counsel to find out whether this is illegal or this is not, or what are my recourse, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying they're getting lawyers. What I am saying is they're seeking a higher authority, and these people got enough phone calls from people to say that people were calling around trying to find out if these orders were illegal, enough for them to put this PSA out there. They said, damn, soldiers are trying to question whether they got legal orders or not. So let's just put a PSA out there to tell them exactly what to do. Okay.
Our Constitution
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
You swear an oath to follow the Constitution, not the president. Goofy goofies, go read the oath. instead of just talking. Go read the oath.
Don't give up the ship. I need everyone to see this right now because Donald Trump may very well court-martial a sitting Democratic senator. I'll have more soon.
That's crazy. That's crazy that you would threaten a sitting a senator because he told someone that you have to follow lawful or unlawful orders. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you questioning an order. There's nothing wrong with you saying, is this lawful? Is this not lawful? Yes, it's lawful, so do it. And then you continue to do it. Why is it that you can't question it if it's a question with all of you having a question? What if everybody has a question? That's wild. They're not in the military chain of command. I don't know. I thought you all could. I didn't say question the command and then don't do it. I said question the command. Okay. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. So, but see, why would you feel the need to try to court-martial Kelly because he said this particular thing? Okay. You don't get the question. Orders, no orders are unlawful. We'll see how this plays out. We will see how this plays out, whether whether these people are going to be in trouble or not. Let's see. It's wild. So we got the blockbuster news. We got the blockbuster news today, which was crazy. And Aaron is the same person. But I wanted to say Aaron because Aaron is the only one that actually read the indictment. I'm just gonna get the indictment read, and then we'll look at the analysis later. But this is the indictment. What happened? Judge dismisses that bullshit case with Tisha James and James Comey. Those two bullshit cases. That's wild. All because of the incompetence. All because of the incompetence of this young lady. What's her name? Halligan. Because of this Halligan person. He was indicted this fall. I think 3 or 4 days before the indictment was, before his, what is that called? Statute of limitations or something like that. 2 days prior to the statute of limitations going dirty, he was indicted. Okay. Former FBI director, 2003 to 2017, appointed under Barack Obama, then fired by Trump because he was not loyal to Trump. He's loyal to the FBI, not loyal to Trump. So Trump decided that because Comey had contempt for him, he wasn't going to follow his orders, so he fired him. September, the Justice Department decided that they were going to finally charge Comey. Okay? But here's the thing. The previous U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, Siebert, he was like, I can't bring up no charges on Comey because these charges are illegitimate. So Trump decided he was going to fire old boy and get this Lindsay Halligan chick. The Lindsay Halligan chick don't have no experience. And she did some bullshit. That's how it got thrown out today. The judge threw that shit out. It should have been thrown out because it was a bullshit case for one. Comey got arrested, or he got indicted for one, making false statements to Congress, and two, obstructing a congressional proceeding. Don't know how that came about, but they charged him, tied to September 30th, 2020 Senate Judiciary Committee testimony. So this shit is wild. So this is Alex explaining the order that the judge came up with, what the judge just said maybe 2 hours ago.
Breaking news at this hour. a major loss for Donald Trump and the Trump Justice Department, as a federal judge has dismissed the indictment against former FBI Director James Comey because Lindsay Halligan, the acting United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, was improperly appointed by the President of the United States. This means that the indictment against Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, also will be dismissed because Lindsay Halligan was improperly appointed. A stunning, absolutely stunning decision that is a major loss for the President of the United States and for the Attorney General, a major egg in the face moment for the two of them who had long sought to prosecute Donald Trump's political opponents, starting with...
Which was dumb anyway. You wanted to prosecute Comey. Personally, you wanted to prosecute him, I think, because he said he was loyal to the FBI. He was loyal to the Constitution. He wasn't loyal to Donald Trump. Donald Trump asked him in extemporaneous notes that Comey wrote. Every time he had a meeting with Donald Trump, he would write notes right after, so he would remember everything in detail, so history would be able to have a record of how Donald Trump treated the FBI. So in his extra, I hate to say that word, extemporaneous notes, Donald Trump asked Comey for loyalty. Comey said, "I'll be honestly loyal, but that's as far as I will be loyal." Donald Trump didn't like that. So Donald Trump went back and forth, and decided he was going to fire Comey. So he fired Comey because Comey said he was not going to be loyal. But what Donald Trump didn't know was Comey had continued to take notes every time they met. So every word that Donald Trump said to Comey, Comey had already put it into a file and showed it to someone else. So it was, directly quoted as to what Donald Trump said to him. So this is why Trump couldn't stand Comey, because Comey said, "I'm not going to be loyal to you. I am going to be loyal to the Constitution." So this is what happened with Donald Trump trying to prosecute Comey because of his disloyalty, apparently. And so here's the egg on this administration's face. But they should have expected it. Now, here is the kick in the pants. Oh, I'll tell you later.
FBI Director James Comey, moving on to New York Attorney General Letitia James. And when you put a prosecutor who has never stepped foot in a criminal courtroom into a grand jury box like they did with Lindsay Halligan, this is what you get.
Oh, I was rolling, Nathan. I was rolling, Nate. I was rolling. I was like, this is what you get. This is what you get. You need to get slapped in the face. This is what you get. Why is it always lefties that set y'all on your ass and then you think it's wrong? The world is not how y'all think it is. That's y'all's problem.
Get an indictment that is completely dismissed, an indictment that will also be dismissed against Letitia James.
Hey, Sassy Mo. Yes, a lot of MAGA have been burning hats because they find out the reality is really how the lefties are thinking it is, are telling them it is. And Trump has put them in that goofy bubble. The Trump regime has put them in the goofy bubble, and they find out that bubble ain't real.
Once a federal judge there decides to issue a ruling, a stunning, absolutely stunning decision that I want to...
Stunning, absolutely stunning ruling. The lady judge threw out both Letitia James and James Comey's child. Hey, Natural Chaos. The judge threw out both of those. No, we ain't losing. We winning, Klein. K. Lindsay. We losing. I mean, we winning. Y'all losing.
walk you through right now. So this was handed down literally minutes.
Now, this is handed down just, an hour or two ago. This is what the judge said about this filing that Trump made against Comey and Letitia James. This is what the judge said. It's ugly.
Ago by a federal judge in the Eastern District of Virginia. It reads, on September 25th, 2025, Lindsay Halligan, a former White House aide with no prosecutorial experience, appeared before a federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia. Having been appointed interim U.S. attorney by the Attorney General just days before, Ms. Halligan secured a 2-count indictment charging former FBI Director James Comey Jr. with making false statements to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding. Mr. Comey now moves to dismiss the indictment on the ground that Ms. Halligan, the sole prosecutor who presented the case to the grand jury, was unlawfully appointed in violation of 28 United States Code, Section 546 and the Constitution's Appointments Clause. As explained below, I agree with Mr. Comey that the Attorney General's attempt to install Ms. Halligan as interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was invalid. And because Ms. Halligan had no lawful authority to present the indictment, I will grant Mr. Comey's motion and dismiss the indictment without prejudice. Resolving Mr. Comey's motion requires me to decide whether Ms. Halligan was validly appointed as interim U.S. Attorney under Section 546 in the Appointments Clause. If the answer to that is yes, I need not go any further and Mr. Comey's motion must be denied. But if the answer is no and Ms. Halligan had no authority to present Mr. Comey's indictment to the grand jury, then the question becomes, what remedy is appropriate?
She had no business presenting the case. The person that Donald Trump assigned to the case had no business being on the case. She had no experience. She wasn't appointed by Congress. They just put her in that job. It's just like me walking into the grand jury and saying, "Hey, I'm the lawyer for y'all, blah blah blah." No documentation, no authority. She didn't have authority. It's just like me walking into the grand jury and then presenting evidence like I'm the authority. This is what the Trump administration sent in there. A goofy who don't have no experience. That's what this judge is saying. She had no experience and no business going in there.
Appropriate. Should the indictment be dismissed? And if so, should the dismissal be with or without prejudice? I address these issues in turn, beginning with whether Ms. Halligan's appointment was valid under Section 540.
You goofy as hell, Kay Lindsay. You goofy as hell. If you think they appointed Jack Smith and he didn't have any experience to a special prosecutor role, then you're dumb. You're dumber than I think you are.
46. In sum, the text structure and history of Section 546 point to one conclusion.
That's correct, G. Exulin. That's correct. But nobody wanted to touch this case, but he got a goofy to touch this case, and look what it did. Blew up in his face.
Attorney General's authority to appoint an interim U.S. Attorney last.
No, your taxes won't, Lindsay Jr. Your taxes won't show you anything. You'll be losing money.
For a total of 120 days from the date she first invoked Section 546 after the departure of a Senate-confirmed U.S. Attorney. If the position remains vacant at the end of the 120-day period, the exclusive authority to make further interim appointments under the statute shifts to the district court, where it remains until the president's nominee is confirmed by the Senate. Ms. Halligan was not appointed in a matter consistent with this framework.
Thank you. She was not appointed by the Senate in no way, shape, or form.
120-day clock began running with Mr. Siebert's appointment on January 21st, 2025. When that expired on May 21st, 2025, so too did the Attorney General's appointment authority. Consequently, I conclude that the Attorney General's attempt to install Ms. Halligan as interim United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia was invalid, and that Ms. Halligan had been unlawfully serving in that role since September 22nd, 2025.
Unlawfully serving in the role that President Trump just told her to come over there and get. Just dumb.
What this federal judge has concluded is that Lindsay Halligan was unlawfully appointed by the Trump Justice Department. And as a result, any decision she had...
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack Smith. I just read that. Jack Smith was appointed by Merrick Garland. That's what they're supposed to do. The attorney general is supposed to appoint special counsels. They appointed Jack Smith as a special counsel at the DOJ to oversee those major investigations involving Donald Trump and the insurrection that he incited on January 6th. Yes.
Has made since her appointment is also invalid as a matter of law. That includes the Comey indictment. That includes the Letitia.
You don't need to be appointed by Congress, Google.
James indictment, and more. Let's continue reading with me. I have already concluded that Ms. Halligan's original appointment was invalid and that the Attorney General's attempt to retroactively bestow special attorney status on her was ineffective. As a result, the Attorney General could not have authorized Ms. Halligan, who was not an attorney for the government at the time, to present Mr. Comey's indictment to the grand jury on September 25th. The implications of a contrary conclusion are extraordinary. It would mean the government could send any private citizen off the street, attorney or not, into the grand jury room. And let's look at the conclusions. For the reasons set forth above, it is ordered and adjudged as follows. Number one, the appointment of Ms. Halligan as interim.
These are the conclusions that the lawyer came up with. No, the judge came up with against Donald Trump and his band of merry clowns. This is what he said about them bringing charges against Comey.
U.S. attorney violated 28 U.S. Code 546 and the Appointments Clause of the U.S. Constitution. Number two, all actions flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment, including securing and signing Comey's indictment, were unlawful exercise of executive power and are hereby set aside. Number three, the Attorney General's attempts to ratify Ms. Halligan's actions were ineffective and are hereby set aside. Mr. Comey's motion to dismiss the indictment is granted in accordance with this order. The indictment is dismissed without prejudice. The power to appoint an interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia pursuant to 28 U.S. Code 546 during the current vacancy lies with the district court until a U.S. attorney is nominated by the president.
Until a U.S. attorney is nominated by the president, which basically means it's going to be another 3 or 4 months if they decide that they want to try the case again.
Confirmed under the...
But they can't try Comey again because technically they probably could in 6 months. But 9 times out of 10, they're not, because this was a shit case. And he didn't, as you notice, he didn't say anything about vindictive prosecution, which they could have said, but they didn't.
The Senate under 28 U.S. Code 541. Okay, so that's a lot of legal jargon, but the key parts here that you need to know about is that James Comey, his indictment is done. I mean, yes, it is without prejudice. Without prejudice means that the U.S. attorney could refile, could seek an indictment again. That is what without prejudice means. But the key thing here is that James Comey, the statute of limitations for lying to Congress under oath, that expired on months ago. That expired. And so essentially because of that, it's not going to be refiled. Nothing they can do to refile.
So that's just a telling of what the judge said. Here we go. That's just telling of what the judge said. It means a whole bunch of other things that went on with this case, right?
All right. Hey, everybody. We are live. I'm joined by an impeccably dressed Andrew Egger. And hopefully pretty soon, Kyle Cheney of Politico is going to be joining us, because neither Andrew or I are lawyers, nor do we cover this stuff on the regular. But the big news today is that James Comey, oh, there he is.
Hi.
In the flesh.
Also not a lawyer.
Nah, but you cover this stuff more than we do. So we're grateful for your entrance here. Kyle Cheney of Politico joins us. We're joining everyone live because the big news now is that the indictments against James Comey and Letitia James have been dismissed. They were dismissed because the appointed U.S. attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, was ruled was illegally appointed. But Kyle, before Andrew and I pretend to know what we're talking about, why don't you tell us what actually is happening?
I may be pretending too here, but
no.
The story is the judge, as we suspected she would, ruled that the Halligan appointment was flawed from the beginning. That essentially the attorney general violated the appointments clause and federal law by appointing someone to a role that basically at this point required Senate confirmation. There had already been an interim U.S. attorney who served for the legal limit of 120 days. And once he was forced out, that's Eric Seabird was forced out, that you couldn't just appoint a new interim. You had to get a Senate confirmed person in there. And so essentially it unwinds everything. Basically, the judge rewound the clock to pre-indictment and said everything else after that is invalid.
That's amazing. Before we get into sort of the significance of this, which I contend is incredibly significant, I just want to make sure for the people who are just joining us that I have the chronology here. And you can correct me if I'm wrong because you've been covering this from the jump. So Eric Seibert is the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. He is there on an interim appointment, even though the two Democratic senators from the state are supportive of his nomination. Mm-hmm. He's handed this issue about James Comey and whether or not James Comey perjured himself in testimony before Congress about whether or not he had leaked two members of the media during the Clinton investigation, or was the Trump investigation about Trump's ties to Russia.
Yes.
Okay. Seibert, as we know from reporting, was of the mindset that there was not really a substantial case there. Right. That it's certainly not enough to bring to trial and get a conviction. He resists, and eventually Trump gets fed up and he fires Seibert. He pushes him out, and then he installs Lindsay Halligan, who is his ex-personal attorney, someone with absolutely no prosecutorial experience. I believe she was an insurance lawyer. Was that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, something like that. All right. She then brings the indictment, and here's where it gets a little hazy for me. She brings an indictment. She gets 2 of the 3 counts. She then brings the 2-count indictment back, but doesn't actually show the grand jury. It might be irrelevant.
That's a whole other issue. If they re-indict, I mean, now that this indictment's gone, I think that issue may go away too.
Can I say one thing on that? Because just real fast.
Wait. I just got to finish the chronology, and then you can say something. So then the question is from Comey's lawyers is, wait a second. So is the indictment correct? And also, is Lindsay Halligan actually allowed to be serving in this role because Seibert had already exceeded his 120 days, and therefore you have to go back to the Senate for confirmation? That's correct. All that's correct, right? Okay, Andrew, yes. Go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say is that, like, I do sort of wonder if this news today is actually coming as a bit of like a breath of relief for Lindsay Halligan herself, because all like the last few weeks we have been just kind of, I mean, you especially, Kyle, but people have just been kind of watching with their jaws on the floor at some of the proceedings that have been going on.
Yeah, because everybody who was watching it knew she was incompetent. She was an insurance lawyer. She was an insurance lawyer, one of Donald Trump's insurance lawyers that he pulled out of Florida, who said, hell yeah, I'm going to become famous. If this works, I will be famous. If it doesn't work, it'll just go down the toilet spectacularly. So it didn't work, and it went down the toilet spectacularly, and the judge read her the riot act because she did some heinous shit. Listen.
In the very preliminary stages of this trial, which is like weird errors and slip-ups and mess-ups and procedure not being followed by this person who, again, has never run these prosecutions. And so if it is in fact the case that all of this, the ruling today short circuits all that, right? Like she could have run the best prosecution of all time, and this ruling would not be fundamentally different because it just says she was improperly appointed in the first place. So it kind of takes it off of her plate.
No, you nailed it. Actually, I've had this exact conversation with colleagues in my newsroom about this is the cleanest outcome for her personally, because every other outcome involves her screwing up, her doing something pernicious, like the vindictive prosecution angle, which that will, if they re-indict, that will come back too. And there's a whole other question about whether they can re-indict Comey over this. This removes those from the equation at this point. If they do re-indict, presumably they wouldn't make the same procedural screw-ups that they did, and those would.
I guess technically they may be able to re-indict Comey, but the statute of limitations is over. So, but why would you want to when you have the other thing? See, the lawyer only ruled on the fact that she shouldn't even be doing the case because she isn't appointed by Congress. The first person who Donald Trump wanted them to prosecute Comey and Letitia James, he got fired by Donald Trump, and he was in the process of doing he was in the process of doing his 6 months or whatever in that role. So once he quit, once he got fired, and they appointed this Halligan girl, she had not done any time in that role. You have to do time in that role before they let you prosecute a case. So what happened was she didn't do any of that. She just streamlined and went and took the case, went over there and filed on Comey. So this is where we're at. The judge is saying right off the bat, the judge took a look at her case, and there was a whole bunch of things wrong with the case already. The fact that it was vindictive prosecution, the fact that she had told the grand jury something that she shouldn't have told them, the fact that she hadn't even had she had never practiced in in this arena before, making little mistakes here and there. She never redid the indictment. She told him one thing and then turned around and told him something else. But the fact she did all of these things, the judge only said you shouldn't have. The only thing the judge ruled on was the fact that she shouldn't have been there in the first place because she had not done her 6 months. But they're going to explain to you.
Wouldn't be live issues. There would be many other issues and obstacles to bringing these cases either way, but not those embarrassing or inexperienced related ones.
So Kyle, the question of re-indictment is actually quite critical here because they had rushed this prosecution to get in front of the statute of limitations, right? Mm-hmm. And they made the indictment, they got it in time, they got it before the grand jury, whatever you want to say about how that process went, they did get an indictment under the statute. Now that she's in,
on top of the fact that it was a statute of limitation for them to get Comey into court. I think the statute of limitation was like within 2 days. I ain't sure, but they had to have all of this indictment stuff into the prosecution, into the judge by X, Y, and Z. And they made the deadline, but everything was messed up though.
Invalid or invalidated, I should say. Comey's lawyers are arguing that this is done. He's in the clear. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it was with prejudice because we are now past the statute of limitations. Do they have a point?
They do. I mean, that actually, in my read of the ruling initially, was that the judges almost echoed that. She dismissed the case without prejudice, which is a key thing that basically says they can.
And the thing is, even if they were to go back and try to file again, they still would have to bring that same case or a different case or a better case or, a better prepared case. They would have to bring that better prepared case back in front of the judge. And the same judge is going to know this is the same case that you were messed up on in the first place and that the statute of limitations are out of whack. So, yeah, Jane is primarily done. Now, Letitia James, her case got dismissed for the same reasons, but she doesn't have a statute of limitation.
They could theoretically re-indict. If you dismiss it with prejudice, she says that there's no circumstance in which you should be able to re-bring this case. She's leaving that open, but she also says in the same breath, but because this indictment was invalid from the beginning and Pam Bondi's appointment of Lindsay Halligan to this role, wasn't legal, that shouldn't give you this automatic.
And you notice what he said. He said that Pam Bondi, who is in charge of the DOJ, she's the top lawyer in the country. She appointed Halligan to this prosecutorial role illegally. Now, what that says is, if I was Comey and if I was Letitia James, I'd be suing the DOJ and suing Halligan and suing Bondi, and I get paid.
Like this automatic, tolling of the statute of limitations. I'm seeing a lot of debate on X and on social media that sort of suggests that the judge may not have fully explained that there are other avenues to bring this indictment again, that there is still a 6-month grace period for DOJ to try again, despite her analysis. So
what would the avenues be?
Well, I mean, essentially, there's a law on the books that says if an indictment is dismissed for any reason, even after the statute of limitations, it gives DOJ a 6-month reprieve to try again. And so my read of what the judge was saying is because there was no valid indictment at the outset, that doesn't apply.
Right.
But that may not be the case. There's other interpretations of it to say that no matter the reason, even if it's because the ballot indictment was void from the beginning, DOJ still gets that 6-month grace period.
Yeah, the one interesting question there is can they? But then obviously the other really interesting one is will they, right? Because I mean, that's the other weird thing about this is like the reason that Halligan was stuck in there in the first place is because Donald Trump plainly thought like he wasn't going to get anybody else who would pull the trigger on this thing for him. That's why he forced Eric Seibert out in the first place. And it seems like the career prosecutors who were working under Seibert shared his opinion. I mean, maybe I'm mixing up the cases with the Comey and the Letitia James here. Am I correct to understand?
No, that's right.
Like, that was pretty much their recommendation going forward, like as a procedural matter from the career staff in that office. There was no indictment here.
And the evidence of that is that she had none of them with her in the grand jury room. You know, she brought this single-handedly. It's one of the reasons the indictment has to go is that there was no career person there putting their signature on this, that even if you kick off Lindsay Halligan, at least someone with authority was there, and there wasn't. So I think that's true.
Could they, I guess in theory, there's a couple ways around this, right? One is try to get a different judge to consider the case. Is that a possibility?
I don't think so. I think they would stick with the judge here. You couldn't, but I think so in addition to finding another prosecutor, they could in theory have Lindsay Halligan do it again, but she would have to do it under a different authority. She wouldn't be the interim U.S. attorney. What they tried to do was retroactively say, oh, by the way, she's the first assistant, special U.S. attorney from the district. I think they could do that in a legitimate way, but they couldn't do it retroactively to the date.
Wait, I just want to make sure I understand you correctly. She could take on a title in the office that's not interim U.S. attorney. They could find some other interim U.S. attorney who could then hire Lindsay Halligan as a attorney.
I don't even know if they need to find someone new to lead the office. They would just appoint her to a position that is within the attorney general's power to put her in as like a special assistant U.S. attorney or something in the office. There may be other ways.
Give her a new title, basically. That's more.
Yeah, I think that's one of the arguments I think DOJ would have in their favor. Actually, is like, look, this is a technicality. Like the attorney general clearly has the authority to put someone in that office in a different role, not as maybe as interim U.S. attorney, but in another role in which she would have been empowered to bring this case. But they didn't do it, so the initial indictment's gone. But maybe she could do it the right way the next time.
Kyle,
but they can't get a new judge. You don't think
that would go back to the same judge, presumably.
Go ahead.
Can I ask you a different procedural question? Because one of the things that was so interesting about this indictment is that the judge kind of talked early on at length about after that 120-day period is expired, it's no longer the attorney general's job to appoint this interim or acting U.S. attorney, and that job actually reverts to, I believe, a panel of the district courts or the district judges rather in that jurisdiction. And we saw that earlier this year with Alina Habba in New Jersey, where she ran out her 120 days. They tried to appoint somebody new, and then the DOJ tried to find a way to get around that and get Habba back in there. If we were to see that happen in this district, like if the judges were now to say, all right, this position has been declared vacant and like we need to stick somebody else in there, would that be, I mean, would we see like a repeat of the Habba thing from the DOJ, or like can we know how they would respond, or is it too early to tell?
This is a very live issue because I think there's like 5 districts in the country where this is happening and it's being litigated. It's up in the appeals court in the 3rd district, which is based on the Habba case. I think if I remember right, the district judges did appoint Seibert to take that to the job. So after his 120 days ran out, they appointed him to it, and then he's supposed to serve indefinitely until they get a Senate confirmed replacement.
Right. But Trump came back and Trump fired him, so that's how it happened. No.
And the Trump administration in general, their view of executive power is we can't have the courts telling us who to put in this role. It's not.
Yeah, I meant to talk about that. That a whole bunch of those Facebook and Twitter things are bots pretending to be American. This is how these people got radicalized. They got radicalized through and see, that's the thing. The Democrats don't have that bot, or they don't have this technical they don't have the apparatus like the Republicans do that have a disinformation campaign, because it's gotta have been a lot of disinformation spread out there, because It's too many of these MAGAs that show up saying the same talking points, having the same talking points as everybody. All of them got the same talking points. So they had to have gotten it from specific bots, all with the same message, right? Because they all say the same thing. It's all goofy shit, and it's all wrong. Because I don't know how or what it is. But the left, us Democrat, we don't have that kind of thing. We just rely on each other to spread the word, spread the message and whatnot. But these people get bots that tell them this is what the left is doing. Because how else would you explain people coming into your chat saying weird off the wall shit and ain't never even sat and talked with a Democrat? It's just, oh, you Democrats are demons. You Democrats are X, Y, and Z. It's never a logical conversation. It's always some goofy shit. And I'm like, they got to be getting this from some bots.
Pam Bondi's former chief of staff was out there saying, this is not what's going on here. They're misreading it. They were running down different evidence trails for how, to shore up the case that they're building against Schiff. And Ed Martin basically endorsed that, saying, I'm not supposed to comment on cases that are ongoing, but it sounds right.
But Patriots remain in control.
Right. And so, I'm not sure what, if that's just spin, but, I somewhat doubt that this Justice Department is investigating Ed Martin while he's overseeing.
Yeah, that didn't seem right to me at the surface. I was like, wait a second, they're not going to talk.
I mean, there may be legitimate questions about, how they obtained some of this information. I think there are, and if Democrats ever retake the House, that's going to be one of the top of the agenda is to seek things like that out for how those systems were misused.
Hey Kyle, if you have to go do reporting, just pull your ear and I'll let you go. We can do it subtly, or we can do it the normal way. You can just say I gotta go. I guess the other question I have is about just sort of the broad elements of like the politicization of the Justice Department. Like, do we now expect any impact in whether or not they bring a case against Schiff? Who else are they looking into? I guess Kelly is the court-martial thing, but like, I don't see this as them looking and saying, "Oh, we got to hit the brakes. It's too much. We can't afford any more embarrassments." But if I were them, I would maybe rethink my strategy.
I mean, I'm one of the curious things about the Schiff case is who's going to bring that one, because they don't have a similarly appointed. They don't have a Lindsay Halligan in Maryland right now.
But all the contemporaneous reporting is that that office is also dubious about the merits of the charge, right?
And so, and I think Ed Martin is technically a special assistant U.S. attorney in that office. He's in DC. He's in DC too, and a couple other places. But
what can't he do?
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know to what degree he's directing traffic on this or overseeing it.
The question I have on these contemporaneous reports about the offices, and this would have maybe factored into the Halligan thing, would that have come into play in a trial, right? Like, would Comey's attorneys have been like, hey, I want to introduce this article about how every other attorney refused to put their name on this case?
You couldn't really bring in a news article, but they would be what would happen next is discovery. I think if the judge didn't just throw out the case on vindictive prosecution grounds, just on what's obvious. I mean, Comey says you don't even need discovery. Just look at what Trump said. Look at what played out. That's enough to say this is a vindictive prosecution. If the judge said, I'm not quite there yet, they would say, I need discovery. We need to get into the document. We need to get material from DOJ to show us how this prosecution came together, and he'd be entitled to that. So I think they'd get underneath, under the surface on it.
Right. And where's Seibert in all this? Has he said anything?
Another person, again, them take the House, have him, he'd be the first person to come testify.
So we know this is all vindictive prosecutions. All of these things that are happening to people who are getting prosecuted by Trump. But see, the White House and the people that he has in charge are incompetent. They have not done these things before. And they're just doing his bidding. This is going to be a lot of people that go to prison. There's going to be a lot of people that go to prison because they followed the orders of this president. A lot of people. And they just don't know it yet. But I mean, it is what it is, right? But they got to live with these choices that they make. You live with the choices that you make.
The midterms, and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
I got to pay it again.
The midterms, and we lose 2028. some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Yes, he's speaking to you, to the maggots. He's speaking to Donald Trump. He's speaking to Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Cash Patel and Bongiorno and all the goofies that keep following Trump down this rabbit hole. Marco Rubio's and the Hegseths. He's talking about you all, because you're the ones that are in charge, that will be going to prison if they lose the midterms and if they lose 2026, 28. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to lose. Automatically, they're going to lose 2026. I mean, that's already gone. It's too far. It's too far gone. It's too fresh in people's minds. And the president keeps making misstep after misstep after misstep. So we keep being reminded of the incompetence of what's going on. So we just have to wait it out. This is the problem. The problem is the Democrats don't have a message. They don't have a leader. And yet and still, Donald Trump's ratings is a 37%. And the maggots are fighting with each other. And there's a split in the party because of Israel. MTG, Margaret Taylor Greene, she's quitting, leaving the movement. She's not leaving the movement, but she's moving away from Trump because she can see the writing on the wall. And we may have more Republicans defecting. So when are we going to have the dam? When is the dam going to break where people are going to say enough is enough? Because I've had too much of this president already, and it's only been 120 days. We have had enough of this president. There's no one to stand up to the president and say, stop doing X, Y, and Z. Stop talking about X, Y, and Z. Stop calling people names. Stop inciting violence. Stop inciting sedition, insurrection, whatever you're inciting. Stop right now. But see, Donald Trump is the worst of our impulses. He's a rich white man who has money. He has the worst of all of our impulses. When you have no guardrails to tell you to do something, you're going to do anything that you feel like doing. You're going to say anything that you feel like saying. You're going to create mayhem whenever you feel like creating mayhem. And this is what we have with this president. He is he has the worst of our impulses. The worst. And it just is what it is. We just have to play it out. We just have to hope that we get one of these Republicans or 40 Republicans or whatever to say enough is enough. And I'm waiting for them to say enough is enough, because this is what he did this week. This week, fresh off him calling for the death of senators. Fresh off, he makes a foreign policy mistake by trying to present a 20-point plan by Putin. Tried to present that to Zelensky, and Zelensky wasn't having it. Some bullshit that went on with Rubio. I'm going to read about it a little bit more. Then we have the fresh hell this morning that we wake up to with him losing this DOJ case. 2, trying to indict or trying to do what he's doing with Mark Kelly. All of these things, these are fresh L's that he keeps taking every week. I cannot wait to wake up in the morning and not have to hear about something Donald Trump has done. This is what we're waiting on. Wake up where we don't hear something that Donald Trump has done. You all, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. This won't be long in Trump's massive election. Won't be long in Trump's massive election win. Yeah, okay, sure. Whatever you say. You know, I have come to the conclusion that some of y'all just take goofy pills and for real, and you say goofy shit. So, I will be back later on because we know something is going to happen between now and then, or we'll look at some fresh tweets. We'll look at something fresh. I don't know what was this debacle with this Putin and Zelensky. Might cover that this evening. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. We will be back. H, is this stuff a big Black America? What do you mean? Is this stuff a big deal? What do you mean? This is breaking news every day. You have to get into what's going on with your country. Okay? You have to get into what's going on with your country. This is not normal stuff that is going on with this country. Well, unfortunately for you, Joshua Patterson, I think the Democratic way of life is starting to bring people back to their senses. And when they recognize this president is a clown driving a clown car, and that's all he has is clowns following him. So we get it. I completely understand. But you all need to really look at news other than fake news, other than Fox News, because the rest of the country is waking up in a massive way. You have Latinos waking up in a weird and wonderful way. You have the independents waking up in the way that they're supposed to. Probably because you are black. I don't understand what that means, but either way it go, your president is losing and he's trash for his leadership. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So I will be back later, 10 o'clock. I am HQ. One of my best friends is Congressman Nevada. No, you don't, because you wouldn't be asking me these questions if you talk to him every day. You wouldn't be asking me what's going on with the world and why is it important if you talk to him every day. He would know why it's important. Okay. So I will be back later. Something else is going to happen. I am pretty sure something else will happen. We will have a conversation. I will see you all later. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. We have this content every day. Once or twice a day, just depending. Be back at 10 o'clock. Maybe more than likely I will, but I don't know whether I will or I won't. Depends on how things go, whether there's some more shocking, interesting news going on in the world. But I'm pretty sure with Donald Trump being our leader, he's going to say something that we're going to talk over the Thanksgiving table about, right? So it's something that's going to happen. Hit the like, share, subscribe. This is HQ, and I will be back. I appreciate all of you. Please don't think I don't. I appreciate all of you. Hit the like, share, subscribe. Thank you.